Madam Chairman, welcome to Conversation With.
Thank you. Thank you.
How did you actually find out about demonetization? Because it was a pretty drastic move and it came on very dramatically. Who called you?
The secretary of one of the deputy governors in RBI called in the afternoon at around 2 o'clock to request that we come to RBI at 7 for a meeting. I asked what was the agenda. They said that no papers were required and we would be told the agenda on arrival. And when we arrived at 7, rather I arrived at 7, I found a number of other CEOs of banks already assembled. So we sort of discussed what could be the agenda, you know, that we get called so late in the evening. And at 7 o'clock the RBI people came in and we started talking about other matters. So including things like the monetary policy, where do you see the inflation going, how is the credit growth, and of course NPAs. So we were discussing all of this when at 5 to 8 other people came in, other RBI officials. The television got switched on and at 8 the Prime Minister came on the television, and that's how we came to know.
So you got to know at the same time as the rest of India?
Absolutely.
You, in other words, did not know. You could sit there and guess, of course, and speculate.
Right. That's right.
But you were informed at the same time as the rest of India?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What was your first reaction? And here I'm asking you as an Indian national, not as chairman of SBI. What did you think when you heard that?
Well, as an Indian national, I don't really think I had time to even think about it, because I was so keen to get out and start discussing with my team as to how we would put the whole thing in action. We had a space of one night and one full 24 hours. As an Indian national, if you ask me, we were still too stunned to really have any thoughts as to whether this was a good thing, bad thing. But again, as I said, I was at that point more interested in determining how as a bank we would face this entire initiative.
Did you get any sleep for a week, I take it, or several months? I mean, you must have had to work non-stop then.
That's true, and I think we slept, all of us slept very, very little. And in fact, very late in the night, I would send messages. So we created certain WhatsApp group, and frankly, it helped hugely, where I would send to the heads of the states. We call them circles, and then they would send it to their general managers, who in turn to their deputy general managers, to the regional managers, to the branch managers, and to the staff. So, you know, these messages would go out very late in the night after we had reviewed what had happened during the day. And the logistics were horrendous, you know, because moving around, as we call them, treasure, is not easy. You have to get security. You have to get clearance from various people. You have to organize the actual vehicles that are authorized to move cash. And sometimes you have to go into the farthest reaches of the country. In fact, there were certain areas in the northeast where we had to have camps to convince the people that we were actually issuing issuable notes. Because these notes are very thin, they are small. So people weren't even convinced that these were genuine notes that we were giving them.
Oh, they thought it was fake?
Yeah, they thought it was
some sort of scam.
Yeah, so we really had to have proper camps to tell people that this is really the change that the government had brought in, and we played clips of the PM announcing it, and all kinds of other measures had to be taken in order to communicate to the people that this is what was getting done and this is how we would need to do it.
Were you ever afraid that there was going to be a run on the bank, or that people would attack the various individual bank staff for not getting the currency if they didn't have, or even damage ATMs?
See, I was never afraid about a run on the bank. I know that people would be quite convinced that money would come. However, I did believe that there could be some law and order issues. And that's why the very first message I sent out, I very clearly told our people that you must understand that you have to be invariably polite and courteous. And if somebody misbehaves with you, understand that that misbehavior stems from fear and insecurity. It's nothing to do with you personally. It's something that's totally external to yourself, and therefore your response must be extremely courteous and extremely measured. However, I always went to bed with a prayer that none of my people would have to face something that would cause any physical or bodily harm to either the customers or to my own people. But you must understand that in the deep reaches of the country, our people were the only face of the government. We were carrying out a government mandate. Obviously, government people are not available over there. So we were the authority figures. And therefore, if people really wanted to do something to authority figures, our people would have been the first targets. Strangely, however, we found that amongst the general public, in spite of all the difficulties they had to face, there was a huge upsurge of support for this measure, because there was a feeling that here was a step that was being taken against corruption.
It's 9 months on now, though, so exactly the things that you've mentioned, Madam. Do you think it actually has got to the root of corruption, or at least stemmed a lot of this illegal black money?
Actually, this is something it's difficult for us to ascertain. This can only be ascertained over a period of time. If you see the number of taxpayers going up, if you see the revenues going up, then you will know that it has had the right kind of impact. However, the banking system has had two very good positives out of this. First is that we have received a lot of deposits, which obviously was sitting in people's cupboards. Okay? And while we anticipated that much of this deposit would rush out, it actually hasn't. So we still have about 40% of the deposits in the system. Now, what it did was, because of that huge liquidity surge that came in, the rates of interest actually for blending went down by 100 basis points. Okay? So that's a huge plus. Plus, the liquidity itself has enabled us to transmit the rate cuts that the central bank was doing. And that is definitely an advantage for borrowers in the system. Okay?
Cheaper to borrow money.
Absolutely. That is the first thing. The second thing is that the digitization that happened during that period, the use of digital means, the use of plastic, it went up by almost 300%. Okay, so 290% is the increase in my debit card spends over 8th of November. Okay, so the amount of digitization that we may have achieved in a period of 3 years got done in 60 days.
So much of India's economy is, as you say, cash transactions, and vast numbers of people get their wages paid by cash. So did all of these people now go to SBI and open a bank account? Did you see a rise in the number of bank accounts being opened?
Oh yes, we opened 89 lakhs, that means 8.9 million accounts during that period. Okay, and for instance, I had gone to one of the tea gardens in Assam. Okay, and they had opened all the accounts of all the people over there, and we had put in one ATM and 4 business correspondents, that is these franchisees who do your small value transactions. And one of the media persons actually told me that, Madam, after 200 years, freedom has come to the gardens. They get paid in cash every week. And because they get paid in cash every week and there is very little surplus, normally they are all beholden to money lenders. So they all have borrowings from money lenders. And when the cash gets given, the money lenders sit just outside or somewhere close, and the first amount that comes out of the salary is to the moneylenders. So they are never able to get out of their debt. Whereas, for the first time when they came into the banking system, we have promised them that once we see the way that they are transacting on their accounts, based on that we will give them overdrafts. Okay? So already some 0.9 million people have been given overdrafts by us. Okay? So for the first time they can hope to get all of their salaries into their hands and then determine how they are going to spend it. Definitely, I think it's something that has pushed us towards better inclusion and ensuring that the people who didn't have access get better access to the system.
You've also overseen now one of the biggest mergers in the banking sector in modern Indian banking history. But will this change the complexion of what the SBI is going to be in the future? You're seen as a state-run bank, a state-owned bank. You are every single person in India is supposed to have an SBI account. Are you going to be able to continue to do that, to be the banker to every Indian?
Well, not every single person has an account with us, but I would say that 1 in every 3 or 4 Indians does have an account with us. Even before this merger, we were changing very, very rapidly. And I believe that we have a lot of competitive strength in us, especially where the new generation is concerned. We are a bank that continues to have the best of pricing. We have the best of reach. And we are trying to ensure that the best of customer service is also given by us. Not only that, we have a very good range of products that actually address the need that you have, without always considering what is the benefit that the bank gets. Okay? For instance, we have a home loan product where you can use it like an overdraft account, meaning that, say, you get a bonus. Okay? You're not going to use all of that bonus immediately. You can credit it into your home loan account and then slowly withdraw from the account again. So till such time as that money is with the bank, you will not get charged for interest for that sum. So literally you are lowering the rate of interest. Now this is not a product that most banks give because it reduces your outstanding. However, we feel that we really want to care for our customers. We believe that our customers deserve the best, and therefore we try and ensure that we give products that they would like and they would benefit from.
Will you be able to do that, exactly that, Madam, in the future? Because when it's international competition, what you're just describing has a very large social element to it. You said you don't think about the benefit to the bank, but will a board that is much more focused on the bottom line be so generous and so kind?
See, the fact of the matter is that you have to look at it holistically. When I have a customer who's got this benefit, that customer is going to come back to me for their auto loans. They're going to come back to me for their investment needs. They're going to come back to me for various other things. So owning the customer is also very important. And you can't own a customer without also looking after their requirements. So I think, if you look at it holistically, it all makes a lot of sense. And even when you are looking at the board also understands that at the end of the day, that model serves best, which is win-win for all. You can't have a win-lose model and expect to have a sustainable business plan over a long period of time. We have been here for more than 211 years now, okay? And we have sustained ourselves only because we've been able to change and we've been able to evolve along with the requirements of our customers.
what makes a 22-year-old English literature student decide to join a bank?
Well, in those days, actually, opportunities were very limited. Limited in the sense that the private sector was not this vibrant, and even in the government sector, there were only a certain number of jobs that were on offer. In the bank, the advantage was you had to appear for an entrance exam, and if you qualified in it, you had the job. Plus, the bank in those days was one of the best paymasters. So I think these two things, the fact that you could just go and appear for the exam and you got chosen on merit, and the second that they had a reputation of being a good paymaster, the two together was what decided the matter for me.
So you must have aced the exam.
Yes, I think I did quite well. In fact, actually, it all started as a bet amongst us friends. We were a group of friends in the hostel, and sort of we took each one on to say that I'd get this much and somebody else said I'd get this much, and that's how all of us in fact appeared together. So it was more done in fun than anything else, I think.
You're now going to go into, I will not use the word retirement. You will now have a period where you're going to be switching course. Have you given some thought to what you're going to do when you supposedly retire?
Yes, I have given it some thought. I would like to do a number of things. Frankly, I have to still step out and then take those decisions, because you can't do it while you are inside. We also have a kind of a cooling off period of 1 year, during which period you need to seek the government's permission for doing anything. Hopefully, you know, as long as what I'm trying to do is okay, the government will definitely consider it. But yes, I would like to do a number of things. How much of that will come to pass, I really don't know. But let's see going forward what happens.
What about journalism? That was your original desire when you were 22.
So maybe, yes, I would love to write. In fact, you know, right from childhood, I've been a very avid reader, and I'm omnivorous. I read almost everything. And my mother used to keep telling me that you've read enough, now start writing. I've never got around to doing that, but yes, that's something that's very much on my bucket list. I would like to write.
So you'd like to be an author in addition to having been the first woman to head one of the biggest banks, the biggest bank here in India.
That's true, that's true. I would love to do that. Mm-hmm.
Madam, do you have a motto, something that guides your life?
Well, motto not, if you ask for me for a very pithy kind of a thing, I don't really think I have it. But one thing I do believe in, and that is, if you are doing something for the right thing, and if you do it with all your heart and soul, then you will succeed. That's one. And the other thing is, I have two pieces of writing on the walls in my room. One is a very lovely poem by Rabindranath Tagore, and the other is a saying by Mahatma Gandhi. And that saying is very simple. It says that when you don't know which way to decide, I will give you a talisman which will enable you to do so. Remember the face of the weakest person that you know, and decide whether what you are going to do is going to be good for that person or not. If it is going to be good for that person, go ahead and do it. It's the right decision. So that is something I find very empowering, because I believe that empowering a person is the biggest dharma in life. Disempowering a person is the worst sin that you can do in any life. So I think I go by that, and it works.
Madam Chairman, thank you very much for being on Conversation With.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed it as well. Thank you.